The mop hit the floor with a wet slap, and every head in the conference room snapped toward the doorway. But it wasn't the sound that made Colonel Derek Ashford go rigid. It was the faded scar on the janitor's left wrist. A burn mark. Clean edges. Military issue. His hand moved toward his sidearm. The woman in the stained gray uniform didn't flinch. She just kept pushing her cart forward, eyes down, like she'd done this 1,000 times, like she belonged nowhere and everywhere at once. Doctor. Raymond Kane, chief of surgery at Silverpoint General Hospital, exhaled through his teeth. Jesus Christ, someone get her out of here. This is a restricted briefing. She paused, looked up, and smiled. Not the nervous smile of someone caught where they shouldn't be. Something else. Something that made the colonel's jaw tighten and the room go very, very quiet. Apologies, she said softly. Then she turned and walked out, her cart squeaking down the hallway like nothing had happened. But Colonel Ashford didn't move. He stared at the doorway long after she was gone, his fingers drumming once against the table. Dr. Kane scoffed. Relax, Derek. She's nobody. Just another cleaner who can't read a sign. The colonel didn't answer, because 23 hours ago, a Black Ops medical evac team had been ambushed in hostile territory. All 6 killed. Intel leaked from inside a U.S. facility, and the last transmission before they went dark? A woman's voice. Calm, cold. I'm already inside. Before we begin, if you're watching this story unfold from New York, Lagos, Seoul, or somewhere I've never even heard of, drop your city in the comments below. I want to see how far this tale can travel. Hit subscribe, stay until the end, and let's see if you can figure out who she really is before the truth comes out. The night shift at Silverpoint General smelled like disinfectant and stale coffee, and nobody gave a damn about the woman mopping the third-floor hallway. Her name was Maya Reeves, at least that's what her badge said, and for the past 11 days she'd been invisible. Doctors brushed past her without a glance. Nurses snapped orders like she was furniture. Security nodded her through checkpoints because her cart had the right sticker and her face never caused trouble. She liked it that way. Maya moved through the sterile corridors with the practiced rhythm of someone who'd done this work before, but her eyes didn't match the part. They tracked door codes, logged shift changes, memorized faces. She'd already mapped the building, loading docks, server rooms, blind spots in the camera grid, and tonight she was 3 floors above the place she actually needed to be, the executive wing, where the real decisions got made. She wrung out the mop, let the water splash into the bucket, and kept moving. 2 doctors passed her in the hall, their voices low, but not low enough. Can't believe they're still holding the briefing here, after what happened in Frankfurt. Kane doesn't care. He thinks this place is untouchable. Maya didn't look up, didn't slow down, but she filed it away. Frankfurt, 3 months ago. A military contractor's entire medical logistics network had been compromised, shipments rerouted, personnel files stolen, 2 field medics dead before anyone realized the breach wasn't external. It was someone on the inside. And now tonight, a high-level briefing was happening in a civilian hospital. No press, no official record, just a room full of people who thought they were safe because the walls were white and the floors were clean. Maya reached the service elevator and pressed the call button. The doors opened with a soft chime, and she pushed her cart inside. Alone now. She exhaled, rolled her shoulders, and let the mask slip just a fraction. Her real name wasn't Maya Reeves. It was Captain Lena Cross, U.S. Army Intelligence, Counter-Espionage Division, and she was hunting a ghost. The briefing room was on the 4th floor, tucked behind a set of double doors marked Authorized Personnel Only. Maya had been inside twice before, once to empty the trash, once to replace a burnt-out light bulb. Both times, she'd planted listening devices so small they looked like dust. Tonight, she didn't need to go in. She parked her cart 20 feet down the hall, close enough to hear voices, but far enough to look like she was just doing her job. The doors were thick, but the ventilation system wasn't. She pulled a small earpiece from her pocket, synced it to the recorder taped under the nearest vent, and pretended to scrub the baseboards. Inside the room, chairs scraped. Someone coughed. Dr. Raymond Kane's voice came through first, smooth and confident. "Gentlemen, let's keep this brief. I know you've all had a long day." "Brief would be nice," a gravelly voice cut in. That was Colonel Derek Ashford, stationed at Fort Ridgeline, 40 miles west. Maya had run his file 3 times. Decorated, clean record, no red flags. But he was here, which meant he was either part of the problem or about to become collateral damage. Then let's get to it, Kane continued. The Markham contract is moving forward. We've secured the transport routes, and the first shipment goes out Friday night. Silence. Then another voice, younger, nervous. You're sure the route's secure? After what happened After nothing, Kane snapped. Frankfurt was sloppy. This isn't. We've compartmentalized every step. No one outside this room knows the full picture. Maya's jaw tightened. The Markham contract. She'd seen that name in intercepted emails buried under layers of corporate jargon and medical supply orders. On the surface, it looked legitimate. Military-grade pharmaceuticals, trauma kits, portable surgical units. But the shipment weights didn't match the manifests. The delivery windows were too tight. And 3 separate intelligence agencies had flagged it as a potential front for something worse. Weapons, data, maybe both. And now she had confirmation. It was moving through Silverpoint. She was about to pull the earpiece when another voice spoke up, quieter than the others but sharp enough to cut through. What about the leak? The room went still. There is no leak, Kane said flatly. Really? Because 6 operators died in Yemen last month after their evac route got burned. Someone talked. Someone made a mistake, Kane corrected. And mistakes get corrected. Maya felt her pulse spike. Yemen. That wasn't public knowledge. That was a black ops failure, buried under 3 layers of classification. If Kane knew about it, he wasn't just involved, he was deep. Corrected how? The quiet voice pressed. Kane's reply was cold. The way problems always get corrected, Lieutenant. Quietly. Maya pulled the earpiece and slipped it back into her pocket. She'd heard enough. She stood, grabbed her cart, and started moving. But before she reached the elevator, the double doors behind her swung open. Hey, you! She stopped, turned. Dr. Kane stood in the doorway, his expression somewhere between annoyance and disbelief. Behind him, the others were filing out. Colonel Ashford, 2 men in suits she didn't recognize, and a younger officer with lieutenant's bars on his uniform. What the hell are you doing up here? Kane demanded. Maya kept her face neutral. Cleaning, sir? This floor's restricted. I was told to cover all floors tonight. Short staff. Kane's eyes narrowed. Who told you that? She met his gaze without flinching. Mr. Dalton, facilities manager. It was a lie. Dalton didn't exist, but Kane didn't know that, and he wasn't about to call down to check in front of his guests. He waved a hand dismissively. Fine. Just get out of here. Now. Maya nodded, lowered her eyes, and pushed her cart toward the elevator. She could feel their stares on her back, but she didn't look up, didn't rush, just played the part. The elevator doors closed, and she let out a slow breath. Too close. But she had what she needed. The night shift ended at 6 a.m., and by 6:15 Maya was out of her uniform and into street clothes. Jeans, a dark jacket, and a baseball cap pulled low. She walked 3 blocks to a parking garage, climbed into a nondescript sedan, and pulled a laptop from the back seat. The recordings uploaded automatically. She scrubbed through the audio, isolating key phrases, cross-referencing names. Markham. Yemen. Transport routes. Kane's voice saying mistakes get corrected. She ran a search on the Markham contract. The company didn't exist. Not officially, but the name had been used before, twice in the last 18 months, both times linked to shipments that vanished off the grid. She was close. Closer than anyone had been. But close wasn't enough. She needed proof. Something concrete. Something that would hold up in a military tribunal, not just a surveillance report. And to get that, she'd have to go deeper. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unlisted number. Status? She typed back. Confirmed. Moving Friday. Need access to transport logs. 3 dots appeared. Then, negative, too risky. Maya's fingers hovered over the keyboard. Then she typed, I didn't ask. No reply. She closed the laptop, started the car, and pulled out of the garage. The sun was just starting to rise, painting the skyline in shades of orange and gray. She had 2 days, but By Thursday afternoon, Maya was back at Silverpoint, pushing her cart through the second-floor surgical wing like she'd never left. But this time, she wasn't alone. A new nurse had started earlier that week, young, competent, and far too interested in asking questions. Her name was Emily Voss, and she had a habit of showing up wherever Maya happened to be working. "Hey, you're Maya, right?" Emily said, catching up to her near the supply closet. Maya nodded. "Yeah. I've seen you around. You work nights mostly?" "When they need me." Emily smiled. "Must be rough. I did night shifts during my residency. Felt like I was living in a cave." Maya kept her expression blank. "You get used to it." "I bet." Emily leaned against the wall, casual but watchful. "You ever work in other hospitals? Before here?" "A few." "Like where?" Maya paused. It was a simple question, but the way Emily asked it, too light, too curious, made her instincts flare. "Why?" Maya asked. Emily shrugged. "Just making conversation. This place can feel pretty isolated, you know?" "Yeah." Maya turned back to her cart. "I should get back to work." "Sure. See you around." Maya didn't look back, but she felt Emily's eyes on her until she turned the corner. That night, she ran Emily Voss through every database she had access to. Medical license, legit. Employment history, clean. Social media, normal. Too normal. Maya flagged the file and sent it up the chain. If Emily Voss was exactly who she said she was, great. But if she wasn't, Maya needed to know before Friday. Thursday night dragged. Maya spent most of it in the basement, cataloging routes and timing security rotations. The loading dock was her primary target, isolated, minimal foot traffic after 10 p.m., and directly accessible from the pharmaceutical storage wing where the Markham shipment was supposedly being held. She'd traced the inventory logs. The crates had arrived Tuesday morning, labeled as standard trauma supplies. But the weight didn't match. Trauma kits averaged 40 pounds per crate. These clocked in at nearly 70. Someone had added something. She was wiping down a storage room door when her phone buzzed again. "Pull out, now." Maya stared at the screen, then typed back, "Why?" "Voss flagged you. She's not a nurse." Her blood went cold. "Then what is she?" "Private security. Kane hired her 3 days before you arrived. She's been watching you." Maya deleted the conversation, pocketed the phone, and kept moving. Her mind raced. If Emily was security, that meant Kane suspected something. Maybe not her specifically, but he knew someone was digging, which meant she had less time than she thought. She changed course. Instead of heading to the loading dock, she went up, back to the 4th floor, back to the executive wing. If Kane was paranoid enough to plant a fake nurse, he was paranoid enough to move the timeline. She needed to check his office. The executive wing was quiet at this hour. Most of the administrative staff had gone home, and the skeleton crew left behind didn't patrol this deep. Maya slipped past the receptionist's desk, moved down the hall, and stopped in front of a door marked Dr. Raymond Kane, Chief of Surgery. Locked, of course. She pulled a thin metal tool from her pocket, part lockpick, part tension wrench, and went to work. 15 seconds. The bolt clicked. She slipped inside and closed the door behind her. Kane's office was exactly what she expected. Leather chairs, mahogany desk, framed degrees on the wall, everything polished and professional and completely, perfectly fake. She moved to the desk, opened the top drawer. Files, schedules, nothing useful. Second drawer, invoices, medical supply orders, all standard. Third drawer, locked. Maya smiled. She picked it in 10 seconds flat. Inside, a tablet, encrypted, but still powered on. She pulled a USB drive from her pocket, plugged it in, and let the software run. 30 seconds. A minute. The encryption cracked. She opened the files. Transport schedules, shipment manifests, and communications, dozens of them, all routed through encrypted channels, all discussing the Markham contract in language that wasn't medical. Target confirmed. Route secured. Delivery Friday 2300. Confirm payload integrity. Integrity confirmed. Proceed as planned. What about the cross problem? Maya's breath stopped. Handled. She won't be an issue. Her name. They knew her real name. She scrolled further. found a file labeled Contingency Personnel, opened it. Her face stared back at her. Military ID photo, service record, everything. And at the bottom, a single line, termination authorized. She pulled the USB, pocketed it, and stood. Her hands weren't shaking, but they should have been. They knew. They'd known for days, which meant everything. The job, the access, the whole damn cover had been a trap. The question was, why hadn't they moved yet? She turned toward the door and found Emily Voss standing in the doorway, a gun leveled at her chest. "Took you long enough," Emily said. "Tut." Maya didn't move. She kept her hands visible, her posture loose, unthreatening. "I'm just cleaning," she said. Emily smiled. "No, you're not." "Then what am I doing?" "Dying, probably." Emily stepped into the room, keeping the gun steady. "Unless you're smart." "Smart how?" "Tell me who you're working for. Tell me what you've sent out. Do that and maybe Kane lets you walk." Maya met her eyes. "You believe that?" Emily hesitated. "Just a fraction. Just enough." "No," she admitted. "But I'm getting paid either way." "So why ask?" "Curiosity." Emily shrugged. "You're good. Better than the last two they sent. I want to know who trains people like you." "People like me?" "Disposable." Maya moved. Not toward Emily, toward the desk. She grabbed the heavy glass paperweight sitting on the corner and hurled it at the overhead light. The room plunged into darkness. Emily fired twice, wild, panicked, but Maya was already moving. She drove her shoulder into Emily's midsection, slammed her against the wall, and twisted the gun from her grip. It clattered to the floor. Emily swung, caught Maya across the jaw. Stars exploded. Maya staggered, tasted blood, and drove her elbow up into Emily's ribs. Bone cracked. Emily gasped, doubled over. Maya kicked the gun away, grabbed Emily by the collar, and shoved her into the desk. "Who else knows?" Maya demanded. Emily laughed, even though it clearly hurt. "Everyone. You think you're the first? Kane's been burning agents for 6 months. Burning them how? However he wants. Car accidents, overdoses. One guy just disappeared." Emily coughed, winced. "You were supposed to be next, Friday night. Loading dock. They were going to make it look like you got caught in the crossfire." "Crossfire from what?" Emily's smile faded. "You really don't know?" "Know what?" "The shipment's not going out, sweetheart. It's bait, for whoever's been watching. Kane's cleaning house." Maya's stomach dropped. "How many people are coming?" "Enough." She let Emily go, stepped back. Her mind was racing. If the shipment was bait, that meant anyone who showed up, her backup, federal agents, anyone, was walking into a kill zone. "Where's Kane now?" Maya asked. "Why would I tell you?" "Because if you don't, I leave you here. And when Kane finds out you let me go, what do you think happens to you?" Emily stared at her, then spat blood on the floor. "Basement, conference room B. He's meeting with Ashford and the others, finalizing the plan." Maya picked up the gun, checked the magazine. 3 rounds left. "Smart choice," she said. Then she hit Emily across the temple with the grip. Emily crumpled. Maya stepped over her, moved to the door, and stopped. She pulled out her phone, sent a single message to her handler. "It's a trap. Abort Friday op. I'm going in." She didn't wait for a reply. The basement conference room was at the far end of the hospital, past the morgue and the storage units. Maya took the stairs, moving fast but quiet, and stopped just short of the door. Voices inside, low, controlled. She pressed her ear to the wood. "Can't keep burning assets like this. Sooner or later, someone's going to notice." Let them notice. That was Kane. By the time they figure it out, we'll be 3 countries away with enough leverage to disappear forever. And Cross? Already handled. Voss has her cornered upstairs. It's over. Maya smiled. Not quite. She stepped back, raised the gun, and kicked the door open. 6 heads turned. Kane, Ashford, the 2 men in suits, a woman she didn't recognize. And one more, a younger guy in a tactical vest, hand already moving toward his sidearm. "Don't," Maya said. The room froze. Kane recovered first. He leaned back in his chair, fingers steepled, expression calm. "Captain Cross, I was wondering when you'd show up. Wondering or hoping? Both. He gestured to an empty chair. Please, sit. I'm good. Suit yourself. Kane glanced at the others. Gentlemen, this is the woman I told you about, the one who's been so carefully documenting our operation. Colonel Ashford's jaw tightened. You said she was contained. I said she was predictable, Kane corrected. And she is. She came here to stop us, to be the hero, but she's smart enough to know she can't do it alone. I don't need to be alone, Maya said. I just need 5 minutes. For what? To make you talk. Kane laughed. Actually laughed. You think I'm going to confess? Here? Now? With a gun in your hand and nowhere to run? I don't need you to confess, Maya said. I just need you to keep talking. Kane frowned. What? Maya tapped her collar. A tiny LED blinked red. I've been recording everything since I walked in. Oh, the room went silent. You're bluffing, Kane said. Am I? Maya tilted her head. You want to bet your life on it? Ashford stood. Kane, what the hell is she? Shut up, Kane snapped. He stared at Maya, his eyes cold and calculating. Even if you are recording, it doesn't matter. You'll never make it out of this building. Maybe not, Maya admitted, but the recording's already uploading. Cloud storage, encrypted server. Even if you kill me right now, it's too late. Kane's jaw clenched. You're lying. Then call my bluff. For a long moment, no one moved. Then Kane smiled, slow, dangerous. You know what? I believe you. He stood, buttoned his jacket. Which means we're done here. He looked at the man in the tactical vest. Kill her. The man drew his weapon, and the door behind Maya exploded inward. Flashbangs, smoke, shouting. Federal agents poured into the room, rifles raised, voices overlapping in a chaos of commands. Down! Get down! Hands where we can see them! Maya dropped low, rolled to the side, and let the professionals take over. Kane lunged for the side exit, but an agent tackled him before he made it 3 steps. Ashford went for his sidearm and got hit with a taser. The others barely had time to react before they were on the ground, cuffed and surrounded. It was over in 30 seconds. Maya lowered her gun, exhaled, and looked up. A woman in a dark suit stepped through the smoke, badge clipped to her belt. Special Agent Rachel Klein, Maya's handler. You cut that a little close, Klein said. I like the drama, Maya replied. Klein didn't smile. Voss? Upstairs, 4th floor, Kane's office, unconscious. She talk? Enough. Klein nodded, then looked at Kane, who was being hauled to his feet by 2 agents. His face was bruised, his jacket torn, but his eyes were still sharp. This won't stick, he said. You have no idea how deep this goes. Klein stepped closer. Try me. But Kane smiled. You think I'm the top? I'm middle management. The people I work for, they'll bury this before it ever sees a courtroom. Maybe, Klein said, but you'll still die in prison. Kane's smile faded. They dragged him out. Maya watched him go, then turned to Klein. The shipment? Intercepted. We hit the transport an hour ago. 30 crates. 15 were weapons. The rest were server drives. Classified intel stolen from 3 separate military installations. Any casualties? 2 of theirs. None of ours. Maya nodded. Good. Klein studied her. You okay? Define okay. Can you walk out of here without bleeding on my crime scene? Maya touched her jaw, winced. Probably. Then you're okay. Klein handed her a bottle of water. Get checked out upstairs. We'll debrief in the morning. What about the others? The ones Kane mentioned? Klein's expression hardened. We're already moving. If they're half as connected as he says, this is going to get messy. When doesn't it? Klein almost smiled. Then she turned and walked away, barking orders into her radio. Maya stood there for a moment, alone in the wreckage of the room, and let herself breathe. 11 days. 11 days of being invisible, of being dismissed, of watching people look through her like she didn't exist. And now those same people were in handcuffs. She allowed herself a small, tired smile. Then she walked out. The hospital was chaos. Federal agents swarmed every floor. Staff were being interviewed. Security footage was being seized. Maya slipped past it all, moving through the halls like a ghost one last time. She made it to the locker room, changed out of her blood-stained clothes, and stuffed them into a bag. She'd burn them later. Her phone buzzed. A message from Klein. "We found the files. Kane kept records. Names, dates, transactions. You were right. This goes higher than we thought." Maya stared at the screen, then typed back, "How high?" "High enough that I'm not discussing it over text. Get some sleep. We'll talk tomorrow." Maya pocketed the phone and headed for the exit. But as she reached the door, she heard footsteps behind her. She turned. Colonel Ashford stood there, hands cuffed in front of him, 2 agents flanking him. He looked older now, worn down. "You knew," he said quietly. Maya didn't answer. "You knew from the start. That's why you were here." "Yeah." Ashford shook his head. "I didn't want this. I want you to know that. I thought I was protecting my people. By selling them out? By making sure they had the resources they needed." His voice cracked. "Do you have any idea what it's like? Watching good soldiers die because some bureaucrat in Washington decided their lives weren't worth the budget? So you decided to play accountant," Maya said. "And people died anyway." Ashford looked away. "I didn't know, I swear. I didn't know what Kane was really doing until it was too late." "You knew enough." The agent started moving him toward the exit. But Ashford stopped, looked back. "For what it's worth," he said, "you're a hell of a soldier." Maya met his eyes. "Yeah, I know." They led him away. She watched him go, then turned and walked out into the night. The air was cold, clean. She stood there for a moment, letting it wash over her, and felt the weight of the past 11 days start to lift. Her phone buzzed again, a new message, unknown number. "Good work, Captain, but this isn't over." Maya stared at the screen, then deleted the message, turned off her phone, and disappeared into the darkness. The safe house was a dump. Peeling wallpaper, furniture that looked like it had survived 3 decades and a fire, and a shower that only ran cold. Maya didn't care. She locked the door, checked the windows, and collapsed onto the couch without bothering to take off her boots. Sleep didn't come. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Kane's face. That smile. That certainty that even in handcuffs, he'd already won. Her phone, a new one, issued by Klein 6 hours ago, sat on the table. No messages, no calls, just the faint hum of encrypted servers doing their job somewhere in the background. She stared at the ceiling and tried to make sense of the last 12 days. 11 undercover, 1 in chaos. And somehow, she was still breathing. The knock on the door came at 4 in the morning. Maya was on her feet before the second knock, gun in hand, moving to the side of the door frame. "It's me!" Klein's voice came through. "Open up." Maya checked the peephole. Klein stood alone, hands visible, no weapon drawn. She opened the door. Klein stepped inside, glanced around, and wrinkled her nose. "They stuck you here. It's got a roof." "Barely." Klein dropped a file folder on the table. "We need to talk." Maya closed the door, locked it. "It's 4 a.m. "I know what time it is." Klein sat, motioned for Maya to do the same. "I wouldn't be here if it could wait." Maya sat. "What happened?" Klein opened the folder. Inside were photos, documents, names Maya didn't recognize. "Kane talked," Klein said. "Already?" "Didn't take much. He knows he's done. But he's smart. He's trading information for a lighter sentence." "What kind of information?" Klein slid a photo across the table. A man in his 50s, graying hair, expensive suit. "Victor Hale, retired general, private security consultant, currently on the board of 3 defense contractors and 2 pharmaceutical companies." Maya studied the photo. "Let me guess. He's Kane's boss." "Worse. He's the architect." Klein tapped the photo. Kane was middle management. Hale's the one who built the network. He's been running black market medical and weapons shipments for the last 8 years, using hospitals, clinics, and military installations as fronts. How many installations? 17 that we know of, probably more. Maya leaned back. "And Kane just gave him up?" Kane's a coward. He'll say whatever keeps him alive. Klein pulled out another document. But here's the problem. Hale's connected. State Department, Pentagon. He's got friends in places we can't touch. Everyone's touchable. Not him, not yet. Klein met her eyes. We need more than Kane's testimony. We need proof. Hard evidence. Something that can't be buried or dismissed. Maya saw where this was going. You want me to go after him? I want you to finish what you started. I already finished it. Kane's in custody. The shipment's intercepted. The network's compromised. The network's wounded, Klein corrected. Not dead. Hale's already moving assets, shutting down accounts, erasing trails. If we don't move now, he disappears, and we lose everything. Maya looked at the photo again. Victor Hale. Clean, polished, untouchable. Where is he? Klein hesitated. That's the other problem. We don't know. You're kidding. He went dark 12 hours ago. Last confirmed location was his estate outside Richmond. But by the time our people got there, he was gone. So find him. We're trying, but he's got resources. Safe houses, private planes, offshore accounts. Klein leaned forward. He could be anywhere. Maya rubbed her eyes. What do you want from me? I want you to do what you do best. Get inside. Get close. Find the proof we need. Inside what? We don't even know where he is. Klein pulled out another photo. This one showed a building, sleek, modern, glass and steel. Hale owns a private medical research facility in Baltimore, Nexus Biomed. Officially, they develop trauma care technology for military applications. Unofficially, it's where he launders his black market shipments. You think he's there? I think if he's not, someone who knows where he is will be. Maya stared at the photo. When? Tomorrow night. There's a gala, private event, donors, investors, board members, high security, but we can get you in. As what? Klein smiled faintly. A consultant. We've already created your cover, Dr. Elliot Marsh. Biotech specialist, you'll have credentials, a background, everything you need. And if someone recognizes me, they won't. You've been a ghost for the last 2 weeks. No photos, no press. As far as anyone knows, Maya Reeves was just a janitor who quit. Maya didn't like it, but she didn't have a better option. Fine, she said. I'm in. Klein stood. Good. Briefing's at noon. Get some sleep. Not likely. Klein paused at the door. Maya? Yeah? Be careful. Hale's not like Kane. He doesn't make mistakes. Neither do I. Klein left. Maya sat there in the dark, staring at Victor Hale's face, and wondered if that was true. The briefing room was in a nondescript office building 20 miles outside the city. No signs, no guards, just a locked door and a keypad that required a code Maya didn't have until Klein texted it to her 5 minutes before she arrived. Inside, the room was small and cold. A table, 4 chairs, a projector screen on the wall. Klein was already there, along with 2 others. A man in his 40s, sharp suit, no-nonsense expression, and a younger woman, late 20s, who looked like she hadn't slept in a week. Maya, this is Agent Thomas Briggs, Klein said, gesturing to the man. He'll be running tech support, and this is Sarah Lennox. She's our inside contact at Nexus. Maya shook their hands. Briggs's grip was firm. Sarah's was shaking. You okay? Maya asked her. Sarah nodded quickly. Too quickly. Fine, just tired. She's been embedded at Nexus for 3 months, Klein explained. Low-level admin work, filing, data entry. Nothing that would draw attention. Until now, Sarah added quietly. Klein pulled up an image on the screen. The Nexus Biomed building. The gala starts at 8. You'll arrive at 7:30, check in at the main entrance, and proceed to the ballroom on the 3rd floor. Sarah will be working the event as part of the catering staff. She'll pass you a key card that grants access to the executive level. What's on the executive level? Maya asked. Hale's office. And the server room? Klein changed the image. Now it showed a floor plan. The servers contain financial records, shipment logs, communications, everything we need to connect Hale to the network. How do I get in? The key card gets you past the door. After that, you're on your own. Klein looked at Briggs. Tom? Briggs pulled out a small black case and opened it. Inside were two items, a USB drive and a tiny earpiece. The drive contains a data extraction program, Briggs explained. Plug it into any terminal on the executive level and it'll copy everything. Should take about 90 seconds. And if someone walks in, don't let them. Maya picked up the earpiece. What's this? Your lifeline. I'll be monitoring from a van 2 blocks away. If something goes wrong, I'll guide you out. And if something goes really wrong? Briggs didn't smile. Then we deny everything. Klein cleared her throat. Once you have the data, you leave. No confrontations, no heroics. You get out, we analyze the files, and we build a case. What if Hale's there? Then you avoid him. And if I can't? Klein's expression hardened. Then you walk away. This is an intelligence op, not an arrest. We need him alive and prosecutable. Maya looked at Sarah. You sure you're up for this? Sarah met her eyes. For a moment, the fear was gone. My brother was one of the medics killed in Frankfurt, so yeah, I'm up for it. Maya nodded. Okay. Klein handed her a garment bag. Your dress, shoes, jewelry, everything you need to look the part. Maya unzipped the bag. Inside was a black evening gown, simple but elegant. Not her style, but it would work. One more thing, Klein said. She pulled out a small photograph and placed it on the table. This woman will be at the gala. Dr. Angela Frost. She's Hale's head of research. If anyone knows where he is, it's her. Maya studied the photo. Angela Frost was in her early 50s, blonde, sharp features. She looked like someone who didn't tolerate incompetence. What's her story? Brilliant, ruthless, loyal to Hale. She's been with him since the beginning. Think she'll talk? Not willingly, but if you can get close, you might overhear something useful. Maya pocketed the photo. Anything else? Yeah. Klein's voice dropped. If this goes sideways, we can't extract you. You'll be on your own. Understood. Klein stood. Then we're done here. Get ready. And Maya? Yeah? Don't trust anyone in that building. Not the staff, not the guests, no one. Maya left the briefing room and walked back to her car. The garment bag felt heavier than it should have. She drove back to the safe house, hung the dress on the back of the bathroom door, and stared at it for a long time. Tomorrow night, she'd walk into a room full of people who made their money off dead soldiers. And she'd smile and charm and pretend she belonged, just like she always did. The next 24 hours crawled. Maya spent most of it memorizing the building layout, studying personnel files, and running through contingencies. Briggs sent her updates every few hours, security rotations, guest lists, parking configurations. The level of detail was impressive, but it didn't make her feel better. She'd done operations like this before. Infiltration, extraction, intelligence gathering. But those had been in war zones, where the rules were different and everyone expected violence. This was a gala. Champagne and small talk. The kind of place where a wrong word could blow everything faster than a gunshot. By 6 p.m., she was dressed and ready. The gown fit perfectly. Whoever had selected it knew their job. The heels were lower than she expected, which meant someone had actually thought about the possibility she might need to run. The jewelry was minimal. A necklace. Earrings. Nothing flashy. She looked in the mirror and barely recognized herself. Dr. Elliot Marsh stared back. Confident. Professional. Harmless. Maya touched the earpiece hidden in her left ear. Comms check. Loud and clear, Briggs replied. You look good, by the way. The cameras at the safe house have you walking out now. Stop watching me get dressed. Wasn't me. That was Klein. Maya rolled her eyes and headed for the door. The drive to Baltimore took 40 minutes. Traffic was light, and she arrived at Nexus Biomed with 10 minutes to spare. The building was even more impressive in person, all glass and sharp angles, lit from within like a beacon. Valet parking, red carpet, a photographer near the entrance snapping pictures of arriving guests. Maya handed her keys to the valet, walked up the carpet and ignored the camera. Inside, the lobby was marble and chrome. A registration desk sat near the elevators, staffed by 2 women in matching blazer. Name? One of them asked. Dr. Elliot Marsh. The woman scrolled through a tablet, nodded. Here you are? 3rd floor. Enjoy your evening. Maya took the offered name badge, clipped it to her dress, and moved toward the elevators. The crowd was already thick. Men in tuxedos, women in gowns, everyone clutching champagne flutes and business cards. The elevator doors opened. She stepped inside with 5 others. No one spoke. The doors closed, and they ascended. 3rd floor. The doors opened onto the ballroom. It was exactly what Maya expected. Chandeliers, a string quartet, tables draped in white linen, waiters circulating with trays, and everywhere people who looked like they belonged. She took a glass of champagne from a passing waiter and moved into the crowd. First time at one of these? Maya turned. A man in his 60s, silver hair, kind eyes. He smiled at her. That obvious? Maya asked. You're looking around like you're trying to find the exits. Force of habit, he laughed. I'm Dr. Paul Hendricks, cardiothoracic surgery. Elliot Marsh, biotech. They shook hands. His grip was warm. So what brings you to Nexus? Hendricks asked. Consulting work? Trauma care systems. I've been reviewing some of the new protocols. Ah, Angela's domain. You know Dr. Frost? Everyone knows Angela. Hendricks sipped his drink. Brilliant woman. Bit intense, but brilliant. Is she here tonight? Over there. He nodded toward the bar. Maya followed his gaze. Angela Frost stood near the bar, exactly as she'd appeared in the photograph. Blonde hair pulled back, sharp suit, surrounded by a small crowd of men who hung on her every word. She's quite the presence, Hendricks said. If you want an introduction, I can... No need, Maya interrupted gently. I'll catch her later, but thank you. Hendricks smiled. Well, enjoy the evening, and if you need anything, I'll be around. He moved off into the crowd. Maya circulated for another 20 minutes, making small talk, collecting business cards, playing the part. She kept one eye on Frost the entire time, watching who approached her, who she dismissed, who she actually seemed to listen to. Then Sarah appeared, moving through the crowd with a tray of hors d'oeuvres. Their eyes met for a fraction of a second. Sarah moved toward the restroom corridor. Maya waited 30 seconds, then followed. The restroom was empty. She checked the stalls. Clear. Sarah slipped in a moment later, locked the door. Here. She pulled a key card from her pocket and handed it to Maya. 5th floor. Hale's office is at the end of the hall. Server room's 2 doors down. Maya pocketed the card. You okay? I'm fine. You don't look fine. Sarah's jaw tightened. Frost just announced a new contract. Military hospitals in 3 countries. She's celebrating. Good. Keep her distracted. Maya. Sarah grabbed her arm. He's here. Maya went still. Hale? No, someone worse. Sarah's voice dropped. There's a man on the 5th floor. Private security, ex-military. I've seen him before. He's the one who handled Frankfurt. Handled how? He was the trigger, the one who gave the order. Sarah's hand was shaking. He killed my brother. Maya covered Sarah's hand with her own. What's his name? Marcus Trent. Maya committed it to memory. Where is he now? 5th floor, guarding Hale's office. How many others? 2 more. Maybe 3. Maya released Sarah's hand. Go back to the party. Act normal. If anyone asks, you were checking your makeup. What are you going to do? My job. Sarah hesitated, then nodded and left. Maya waited a full minute, then exited the restroom and made her way to the elevators. She pressed the button for the 5th floor. The elevator rose smoothly, quietly. The doors opened. The 5th floor was different. No marble, no chrome. Just carpeted hallways, recessed lighting, and closed doors with nameplates. Maya moved quickly, keeping her footsteps soft. She passed offices, conference rooms, a small break area. Everything was locked. Everything was quiet. She reached the end of the hall, Hale's office. Double doors, frosted glass. And standing in front of it, arms crossed, was Marcus Trent. He was tall, broad-shouldered, with the kind of build that came from years of hard training. His suit was expensive, but it didn't hide the bulge of the shoulder holster underneath. He looked at her as she approached. Lost? He asked. Maya smiled. I was looking for the restroom. Wrong floor. Apparently. She turned to leave, then paused. Is this Victor Hale's office? Trent's expression didn't change. Why? I was hoping to introduce myself. I'm Dr. Elliot Marsh, biotech consultant. I've been working with Nexus on the new trauma care systems. Mr. Hale isn't here? Oh. Maya looked disappointed. Do you know when he'll be back? No. Could I leave a message? No. Maya held his gaze for a moment, then smiled again. Well, thank you anyway. She turned and walked back toward the elevators, feeling his eyes on her the entire way. In her ear, Briggs whispered, That guy's not buying it. You need to move fast. Working on it, Maya murmured. As soon as she rounded the corner, she stopped, pulled out her phone, texted Briggs. Hale's not here. Office guarded. Need a distraction. The reply came 10 seconds later. Working on it. Stand by. Maya waited. 1 minute. 2. She could hear voices from the ballroom below, muffled through the floor, laughter, music. Then the fire alarm went off. The hallway erupted in sound, blaring sirens, flashing lights. Maya moved immediately, heading back toward Hale's office. Trent was gone, evacuating, like everyone else. She didn't question it. She swiped the key card, slipped inside, and locked the door behind her. The office was massive, mahogany desk, leather chairs, bookshelves lined with medical texts and awards, a window overlooking the city, and on the desk, a laptop, closed but still powered on. Maya pulled out the USB drive, opened the laptop, and plugged it in. The screen flickered. A progress bar appeared. Extracting data. 12%. She moved to the window, looked out. Below, people were streaming out of the building, evacuating per protocol. The fire alarm was still screaming. 34%. She opened drawers, found files, contracts, correspondence. She photographed everything with her phone, page after page, not bothering to read, just capturing. 58%. In her ear, Briggs said, Security's starting to sweep the building. You've got maybe 3 minutes before they reach the 5th floor. Copy, Maya whispered. She kept photographing, financial statements, shipping manifests, names she didn't recognize but knew were important. 71% footsteps in the hallway. Maya froze. The footsteps stopped outside the door. 89%. A key card swiped. The lock clicked. The door opened. And Victor Hale walked in. He saw her immediately, stopped, tilted his head. Dr. Marsh, he said calmly. I wasn't expecting company. Maya straightened, kept her hands visible. Mr. Hale, I apologize. I was looking for my laptop? He gestured to the desk. I can see that. 97% Hale closed the door behind him, locked it. You're not Dr. Marsh, he said. Marsh doesn't exist. I checked. Maya didn't move. Then who am I? That's what I'm curious about. Hale walked slowly toward the desk, his eyes never leaving hers. You're good. I'll give you that. The cover was solid, but you made a mistake. What mistake? You asked about me downstairs. To Trent. Hale smiled. No one at this event would need to ask where I am. They'd already know. 100%. Download complete. The laptop chimed softly. Hale glanced at it, then back at her. Well, he said, I suppose it doesn't matter now. He pulled a gun from his jacket, small, compact, suppressed, and aimed it directly at her chest. Maya raised her hand slowly. You're not going to shoot me. Why not? Because you want to know who I work for, and I'm the only one who can tell you. Hale considered this, then lowered the gun slightly. Fair point. So who sent you? FBI? CIA? Does it matter? It does if I want to know how much damage control I need to do. Maya glanced at the laptop. The USB drive was still plugged in, data copied, but if he checked it, he'd know exactly what she'd taken. She needed him focused on her, not the desk. I'm not authorized to tell you, she said. Hale laughed. Authorized, that's cute. He moved closer, gun still raised. Let me tell you what's going to happen. You're going to tell me everything. Who you are, who you work for, what you've transmitted. And if you cooperate, I might let you live. And if I don't, then I'll find out anyway, just slower. In her ear, Briggs whispered urgently, Maya, I've got 3 guards heading your way. You need to move. Now. She couldn't respond. Couldn't let Hale know she was wired. So what's it going to be? Hale asked. Maya looked at the window. 5th floor, too high to jump. She looked at the door, locked, guarded outside. She looked at Hale, and she smiled. You're right, she said. I made a mistake. I shouldn't have come here alone. Hale frowned. What are you? The window exploded inward, glass shattered. Hale stumbled back, shielding his face. Maya dove to the side, grabbed the laptop, and ripped the USB drive free. 2 figures repelled through the broken window, tactical gear, helmets, rifles. Federal agents. Hale raised his gun, but one of the agents fired first, a non-lethal round that hit him in the chest and dropped him like a stone. The other agent moved to Maya. You good? She nodded, clutching the USB drive. I'm good? Then let's move. They pulled her toward the window. Outside, a rappelling line dangled from the roof. One of the agents clipped a harness to her waist. Hold on, he said, and they dropped. The descent was fast and controlled. Her stomach lurched, her hands gripped the harness straps, and then her feet hit the ground. They were in an alley behind the building, 3 black SUVs waiting with engines running. Klein stood beside one of them. Get in, she barked. Maya climbed into the back seat. The door slammed shut. The vehicle peeled out, tires screeching, and they were moving. Behind them, the Nexus building was chaos. Alarms, flashing lights, people running. In the seat beside her, Klein exhaled. That was too close. Maya handed her the USB drive. I got it. Klein took it, turned it over in her hands. This better be worth it. It is. They drove in silence for 5 minutes, weaving through back streets, putting distance between themselves and Nexus. Finally, Klein spoke again. Hale's in custody, along with Trent and 3 others. What about Frost? Still at the gala. We're bringing her in for questioning. Maya leaned her head back against the seat. Sarah? Safe. We pulled her out the second the alarm went off. Good. Klein glanced at her. You okay? Maya closed her eyes. Ask me tomorrow. The debriefing lasted 3 hours. They took her to a secure facility outside the city, concrete walls, no windows, guards at every door. Klein and Briggs were there, along with 2 other agents Maya didn't recognize. They went through everything, the gala, the office, the data. Hale's questions. Every word, every movement, every second. Then they analyzed the USB drive. What they found was worse than anyone expected. 17 military installations, 23 hospitals, 11 private contractors, and over 400 personnel compromised. Doctors, nurses, logistics officers, even base commanders. The network wasn't just big, it was everywhere. This is going to take months to untangle, one of the agents said, staring at the screen. We don't have months, Klein replied. The second this leaks, they'll scatter. Then don't let it leak. Klein looked at Maya. You did good work, really good. Maya didn't respond. She was staring at one of the files on the screen, a list of names, and at the bottom, highlighted in red, asset, active, field. Her name, her real name. What is that? She asked quietly. Klein leaned closer. Her expression changed. That's a target list, she said. For what? Klein didn't answer immediately. Then she pulled out her phone, made a call. We have a problem, she said into the phone. Cross is on Hale's termination list. A pause. I don't know, but if he's got this, so does everyone else in the network. Maya felt her blood go cold. They know who I am. Klein hung up. Looked at her. Yeah, they know. How? I don't know, but Hale's been planning this for a while. He's been identifying threats, cataloging assets, building contingencies. You've been on his radar since before Silverpoint. Before? Maya stood. That means someone tipped him off. Or he's just that thorough. No. Maya shook her head. He called me by rank. He knew I was military. He knew I was intelligence. That's not something you figure out from a fake ID. Klein's jaw tightened. You think we have a leak. I think we've had one all along. The room went quiet. Then Briggs spoke up. If there's a leak, it's not on our end. We've vetted everyone. Have you? Maya shot back. Because someone knew I was coming. Someone told Hale to check my credentials. Someone made sure he was in that building tonight. You're paranoid, Briggs said. I'm alive. Klein held up a hand. Enough. We'll look into it. But right now, the priority is keeping you safe. Safe how? Relocation, new identity, protective custody until we can roll up the rest of the network. Maya stared at her. You want me to hide? I want you to stay alive. No. Maya grabbed her jacket. I'm not hiding. Not after everything I've done. Maya said, they know my face. They know my name. Hiding won't fix that. She headed for the door. I'm going to finish this. You can't go after an entire network alone. Maya stopped, looked back. Watch me. She walked out. Klein didn't follow. Maya made it to the parking lot before her phone buzzed. An unknown number. She almost ignored it. Then she opened the message. No words, just a photo. Her apartment, the one she'd lived in before going undercover. The door was open. The interior trashed. And on the wall, written in red paint, "We know where you sleep." Maya stared at the photo for 10 seconds. Then she deleted it, pulled the battery from her phone, and threw both pieces into a trash can. They wanted her scared, wanted her running. She wasn't going to give them that. The parking lot was empty except for 3 vehicles: Klein's SUV, a sedan she didn't recognize, and a motorcycle chained near the fence. She walked to the motorcycle, pulled a small tool from her jacket pocket, and had the lock open in 15 seconds. The engine turned over on the first try. She was 2 miles down the road before anyone inside realized she was gone. The apartment was in Northeast D.C., a 4th-floor walk-up she'd rented under a name that didn't exist anymore. She'd lived there for 6 months before the Silverpoint operation, long enough to establish a routine, short enough that no one really knew her. Or so she'd thought. Maya parked the motorcycle 3 blocks away and approached on foot, keeping to the shadows, watching windows, checking parked cars. The street was quiet. Too quiet for 11 p.m. on a Friday. She stopped across from the building and studied it, lights off in her unit. The front door slightly ajar. Someone was inside. Or had been. She circled the block, found the fire escape, and climbed. 4th floor. Her window was closed but unlocked. She slid it open, slipped inside, and landed in a crouch. The apartment smelled wrong. Paint. Fresh paint. She moved through the kitchen, past the overturned table and broken chairs, into the living room. The message on the wall was exactly as the photo had shown. We know where you sleep. But there was more now. Words scrawled across every surface. You should have stayed invisible. Kane talked. So will you, tick-tock. Maya walked through the wreckage slowly, cataloging. Furniture destroyed, drawers emptied, cushions slashed. They'd been thorough, professional, but they'd missed something. She went to the bedroom, knelt beside the bed, and pried up a loose floorboard. Inside, a go bag. Cash. Fake IDs. A clean phone, and a Glock 19 with 3 magazines. She pulled everything out, checked the weapon, and loaded it. Then she heard the footsteps in the hallway. 2 sets. Heavy, confident. Maya moved to the side of the door, gun raised, and waited. The footsteps stopped outside her apartment. A voice. Male. Calm. She's not here. Another voice. Also male, younger. How do you know? Because if she was, we'd already be dead. A pause. Should we wait? No. Hale wants her location, not a firefight. We'll flag the building, set up surveillance, and report back. What if she doesn't come back? She will. People always come back. The footsteps receded. Maya waited until she heard the stairwell door close, then moved to the window. Below, 2 men exited the building and climbed into a black sedan. She memorized the plate, watched them drive away, then slung the go bag over her shoulder and left the same way she'd come. By the time she hit the street, her mind was already working. They'd found her apartment, which meant they had access to her cover identities, which meant the entire network Klein had built around her was compromised. She couldn't go back to the safe house, couldn't contact Klein directly, couldn't trust anyone who'd been part of the operation. She was alone. The realization didn't scare her. It clarified things. She walked 6 blocks, found an all-night diner, and slid into a booth in the back, ordered coffee, pulled out the clean phone and powered it on. 1 contact, a number she'd memorized years ago and never used. She typed a message. I need a favor. The reply came 30 seconds later. How big? Big enough that you'll regret it. A pause. Then, "Where are you?" Maya sent the diner's address and waited. 20 minutes later, a man walked in. Late 40s, graying beard, worn leather jacket. He spotted her immediately, slid into the booth across from her, and didn't say a word. His name was Daniel Cross, her brother. "You look like hell," he said finally. "Thanks. When was the last time you slept?" "Tuesday." "It's Saturday." "I know." Daniel signaled the waitress, ordered coffee for himself, and leaned back. "So, what kind of trouble are we talking about?" Maya slid the go-bag under the table toward him. "The kind where people are trying to kill me. People are always trying to kill you. This time they know where I live." Daniel's expression didn't change, but his eyes sharpened. "Military?" "Worse. Private." "How private?" "The kind with ex-generals and offshore accounts." Daniel exhaled slowly. "You pissed off the wrong people." "I pissed off the right people. That's the problem." The waitress brought Daniel's coffee. He thanked her, waited until she was out of earshot, then leaned forward. "What do you need?" "A place to work. Off the grid. No cameras, no paper trail." "For how long?" 48 hours. "And then?" "Then it's over. One way or another." Daniel studied her. They'd grown up in the same house, survived the same chaos, joined the same war. He knew when she was bluffing. This wasn't one of those times. "I've got a garage," he said, "out in Laurel. Technically it's a chop shop, but the owner owes me. No one asks questions." "Perfect. What are you planning?" "Something stupid." "Maya, I'm not asking for your permission, Danny. I'm asking for a location." He sighed, pulled out a pen, and wrote an address on a napkin. "Owner's name is Luis. Tell him I sent you. He'll give you access." Maya pocketed the napkin. "Thank you." "Don't thank me yet. If this blows back on you, it blows back on me." "It won't." "You don't know that." "Yeah, I do." She stood, picked up the go-bag. "Because if it does, I'll already be dead." She left 2 20s on the table and walked out. Daniel didn't follow. The garage was exactly what she needed. Concrete floors, roll-up doors, tools scattered across workbenches, and in the back corner a small office with a desk, a chair, and an outlet. Luis was a wiry guy in his 60s who looked like he'd seen everything twice and didn't care about any of it. He took one look at Maya, nodded, and handed her a key. "Daniel says you're family," Luis said. "So you don't exist. You weren't here. I don't know you." "Understood." "Good. Don't make me regret this." He left. Maya locked the door behind him, set up the laptop Briggs had given her, and plugged in the USB drive. The files loaded slowly, thousands of documents. Emails, financial records, shipment logs, personnel files. She started sorting. It took 2 hours to find the pattern. Hale's network wasn't random. It was surgical. Every compromised installation had one thing in common: a single point of failure. A doctor, a logistics officer, a supply clerk, someone with access who could be bought, blackmailed, or threatened. And once they were in, Hale owned them. She pulled up the personnel files, cross-referenced them with the financial records, and found 17 active assets still in place. 17 people who were still feeding information to Hale's network. But one name stood out. Captain Marcus Webb, Fort Bragg, head of medical logistics. She ran his file. Decorated, clean record, married, 2 kids. And then she found the discrepancy. 6 months ago, Webb's youngest daughter had been diagnosed with leukemia. Experimental treatment, not covered by insurance, cost $400,000. 3 weeks later, Webb's bank account showed a deposit of $450,000. Source, unlisted. Maya leaned back in the chair and stared at the screen. They'd bought him with his daughter's life. She pulled up Webb's current assignment. He was overseeing a medical supply shipment to a forward operating base in Eastern Europe. Departure, Monday morning. She checked the manifest. Standard trauma supplies, blood products, surgical kits. But the weight was wrong. Again. She opened another file, found the real manifest. Hidden, encrypted, weapons, server drives, cash. The same pattern as Silverpoint. And if the shipment went out, it would fund Hale's network for another year. Maya pulled out the clean phone and composed a message to Klein, then stopped. If there was a leak, sending this to Klein would tip off whoever was feeding information to Hale. She deleted the message. She needed to do this herself. She pulled up a map of Fort Bragg, studied the layout, and started planning. So, Fort Bragg was 120 miles south. Maya made the drive in under 2 hours, arriving just before dawn. She parked the motorcycle in a Walmart lot, changed into civilian clothes, and walked to a bus stop near the base entrance. The morning shift change started at 6. Contractors, civilian employees, delivery drivers, all filtered through the main gate, IDs checked, vehicles inspected. Maya watched from across the street, studying the routine. Guards rotated every 30 minutes. Cameras covered the entrance, but not the fence line. And on the east side of the base, near the medical logistics warehouse, there was a gap in the patrols. She waited until 7, then circled around to the east fence. The gap was real, a 100-yard stretch where the cameras didn't quite overlap. She scaled the fence in under a minute, dropped to the other side, and moved toward the warehouse. The building was massive, 3 stories, concrete and steel. Loading docks on the west side, personnel entrance on the east. She watched from behind a dumpster as workers arrived. Forklifts moved pallets, trucks backed up to the docks. Everything looked normal, but normal was the problem. She waited until the shift supervisor stepped out for a smoke, then moved to the personnel entrance, swiped a stolen ID card, lifted from a contractor 2 hours ago, and walked inside like she belonged. The warehouse floor was organized chaos. Rows of shelves stacked 20 feet high, workers moving supplies, computers tracking inventory, and in the center, a glass-walled office where Captain Marcus Webb sat at a desk, staring at a monitor. Maya grabbed a clipboard from a nearby cart, clipped a blank sheet to it, and walked toward the office. No one stopped her. No one even looked. She knocked on the door. Webb glanced up, waved her in. She stepped inside and closed the door behind her. "Can I help you?" Webb asked. Maya set the clipboard on his desk. "You can start by telling me why you're shipping 30 crates of unmarked cargo to a forward base on Monday." Webb's expression didn't change, but his hand moved toward the phone. "I wouldn't," Maya said. He stopped. "Who are you?" he asked. "Someone who knows about your daughter." Webb's face went pale. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Yes, you do." Maya pulled a photo from her jacket and placed it on the desk. Webb's bank records, the deposit, the dates. "They paid for her treatment," Maya said, "and now you work for them." Webb stared at the photo. His hand was shaking. "She was dying," he said quietly. "What was I supposed to do?" "Not this. Easy for you to say." Webb looked up, and his eyes were red. "You don't have kids. You don't know what it's like to watch them suffer and not be able to do anything about it." "You're right, I don't." Maya leaned forward. "But I know what it's like to watch good people die because someone sold them out." Webb flinched. "The shipment on Monday," Maya said. "What's really in it?" "I don't know." "Bullshit." "I don't," Webb's voice cracked. "They give me the manifests. I process them. I don't ask questions." "Who gives you the manifests?" Webb hesitated. "Who?" Maya pressed. "I don't have a name, just a contact number." "Show me." Webb pulled out his phone, scrolled through his messages, and handed it to Maya. The contact was listed as coordinator. The messages were brief, clinical, instructions, confirmations, no names, no details. Maya memorized the number, handed the phone back. "What happens Monday?" she asked. "The shipment goes out. I sign the paperwork. That's it." "And if it doesn't go out?" Webb looked at her like she'd just suggested burning down the building. "Then they'll know something's wrong, and they'll come after me." "They're already after you. You just don't know it yet." Webb shook his head. "You don't understand. These people, they don't forgive mistakes. If I don't deliver, they'll kill me, or worse, they'll hurt my family." "Then help me stop them." "How?" "Let me intercept the shipment." Webb laughed, bitter, hollow. "You think you can just walk in here and stop a military transport? You're insane." "Probably." Maya stood. "But I'm also the only chance you've got." She walked to the door, then stopped. "They told you they'd take care of your daughter," she said. But what they didn't tell you is that once this shipment goes out, you're a liability. And they don't keep liabilities around. Webb didn't respond. Maya left. That. She made it back to the motorcycle without incident, but her mind was racing. Webb was compromised, but he wasn't the architect. He was just another pawn. The real question was, who was the coordinator? She pulled out the clean phone and ran the number through a reverse lookup. Nothing. Burner phone. No registered owner. But the call log showed a pattern. The coordinator had contacted Webb 17 times in the last 6 months, always at odd hours, always brief. And 3 days ago, the coordinator had called someone else, a number Maya recognized. Special Agent Thomas Briggs. Her blood went cold. Briggs. The tech specialist, the one who'd set up her comms, the one who'd guided her through the Nexus operation, the one who'd known exactly where she'd be and when. Maya sat on the motorcycle, staring at the phone, and felt the ground shift under her. The leak wasn't just inside Hale's network. It was inside Klein's team. She pulled up Briggs's contact information, cross-referenced it with the files from the USB drive, and found the connection. 2 years ago, Briggs had worked for a private security firm. The same firm that had employed Marcus Trent, the same firm owned by Victor Hale. She closed the phone and started the engine. She needed to get back to the garage. Needed to figure out how deep this went. Needed to... Her phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. You're looking in the wrong place. Maya's heart stopped. Another message. If you want the truth, go to the source. A third message. This one with an address. Midnight. Come alone. Or everyone you've ever trusted dies. Maya stared at the screen. Then she deleted the messages, turned off the phone, and rode back to the garage. The garage was empty when she arrived. Luis was gone. The office light was off. Maya locked the door, pulled out the laptop, and started digging. Briggs's financial records, his communications, his travel logs. Everything pointed to one conclusion. He'd been working for Hale from the beginning, which meant every operation Maya had run in the last 2 weeks had been monitored. Every move she'd made had been reported back. She was a puppet, and Briggs had been pulling the strings. She slammed the laptop shut and paced the office. If Briggs was dirty, who else was? Klein? Sarah? How many people on the task force were actually working for Hale? And if she couldn't trust the team, who could she trust? The answer was no one. She looked at the address from the text message, an industrial complex outside Baltimore. No businesses listed, no public records. A trap, obviously. But also the only lead she had. She checked her watch. 8 p.m., 4 hours until midnight. She opened the go bag, pulled out the Glock, and loaded a fresh magazine. If they wanted her, they'd get her. But not the version they expected. Maya arrived at the industrial complex at 11:30. She parked the motorcycle 2 blocks away and approached on foot, moving through the shadows, keeping low. The complex was a grid of warehouses, most of them abandoned. Broken windows. Graffiti. Weeds growing through cracked pavement. The address from the message was the largest building in the center. 3 stories. Steel frame. Loading docks on all sides. Maya circled it twice, studying the layout. No lights, no guards, no movement. But that didn't mean it was empty. She found a side entrance, picked the lock, and slipped inside. The interior was dark and cavernous. Open floor plan. Exposed beams. Dust thick in the air. She moved forward slowly, gun raised, scanning for threats. Nothing. She reached the center of the building and stopped. A single light hung from the ceiling, casting a pale circle on the concrete floor. And standing in the circle was a man, Victor Hale. He smiled when he saw her. "Right on time," he said. Maya aimed the gun at his chest. "Where's Briggs?" "Safe. For now." Hale gestured around the empty warehouse. "I thought it was time we had a proper conversation. Just the 2 of us." "We've got nothing to talk about." "On the contrary, we have everything to talk about." Hale took a step forward. "You've been quite the thorn in my side, Captain Cross. Or do you prefer Maya? Or Elliot? You've had so many names, it's hard to keep track." "Stay where you are," Maya warned. Hale stopped, raised his hands. Relax. I'm not armed, and I'm not here to fight. Then why am I here? Because I want to make you an offer. Maya almost laughed. You think I'm going to work for you? Why not? You're good at what you do, better than most, and you've already proven you can operate outside the rules. Hale tilted his head. The only difference between us is that I'm honest about it. I'm nothing like you, aren't you? Hale's smile widened. You've lied. You've stolen. You've killed. All in the name of justice. But who decides what justice looks like? The government? The same government that abandoned those medics in Yemen? The same government that sacrifices soldiers to protect political interests? Maya's finger tightened on the trigger. I didn't abandon anyone, she said. No, but you couldn't save them either. Hale lowered his hands. And now you're here, alone, because the people you trusted sold you out. So tell me, Captain, what's the difference between my network and theirs? I'm going to walk out of here, Maya said, and you're going to prison. Am I? Hale glanced at his watch. Because in about 30 seconds, you're going to have a choice to make. What choice? Hale smiled, and the lights came on. The warehouse wasn't empty. 20 men surrounded her, tactical gear, rifles, all aimed at her head. And standing among them, hands cuffed, was Klein. Her face was bruised. Blood dripped from a cut above her eye. Maya, she rasped. Don't! One of the men hit her in the stomach. Klein doubled over, gasping. Maya's heart hammered. Let her go. Of course, Hale said, as soon as you put down the gun. Not happening. Then she dies. Right here. Right now. Hale nodded to one of the men. The man raised his rifle, aimed it at Klein's head. Your choice, Captain. Maya looked at Klein. Their eyes met. Klein shook her head, mouthed the word, don't. Maya lowered the gun. The moment it hit the ground, 2 men grabbed her, forced her to her knees, and zip-tied her hands behind her back. Hale walked over, picked up the gun, and examined it. Smart choice, he said, though not the one I expected. Go to hell, Maya spat. Hale crouched in front of her. You still don't get it, do you? This was never about you. You were just the bait. Bait for what? Hale looked past her, at Klein, and smiled. For her. Klein didn't look surprised. She looked exhausted. Maya stared at her, then at Hale, then back at Klein. What is he talking about? Hale stood, brushed dust off his pants. Agent Klein has been very helpful over the past 18 months, feeding me intelligence, warning me about investigations. She's the reason I've stayed ahead of every agency that's come after me. That's not true, Maya said, but even as the words left her mouth, she felt the certainty drain away. Klein wouldn't meet her eyes. Tell her, Hale said. Tell her how you approached me after Frankfurt, how you offered to protect my network in exchange for a percentage. Klein finally looked up. Her face was hard. He's lying. Am I? Hale pulled out his phone, swiped through it, and held it up. The screen showed a bank account. Deposits. Regular. Substantial. 18 transfers. 50,000 each. All traced back to accounts you control. Maya felt like the floor had dropped out from under her. Rachel. Klein's jaw tightened. It's not what you think. Then what is it? It's survival. Klein's voice was low, bitter. You think they pay us enough to do this job? You think the government gives a damn about people like us? I've spent 20 years watching criminals get rich while I scrape by on a government salary. I was tired of it. So you sold out. I made a choice. Klein shifted, wincing as the movement pulled at her injuries. And for a while, it worked. I fed Hale enough to keep him happy. Nothing that would actually hurt anyone. Just enough to stay valuable. Nothing that would hurt anyone? Maya's voice rose. 6 medics died in Yemen because someone leaked their route. Was that you? Klein's silence was answer enough. Maya lunged forward, but the men holding her yanked her back. You killed them, Maya said, her voice shaking. You killed your own people for money. I didn't know that's what the intel would be used for, Klein said, but the words sounded hollow even to her. I thought it was just logistics, supply routes. I didn't know Hale was targeting personnel. You didn't want to know. Klein looked away. Hale stepped between them. This is touching, really. But we're on a schedule. He looked at one of his men. Trent, set the charges. Marcus Trent nodded and moved toward the back of the warehouse, a duffel bag slung over his shoulder. Maya's mind raced. Charges, explosives. They were going to blow the building, with her and Klein inside. Why keep us alive this long? Maya asked. Why not just kill us at the gala? Because I needed confirmation, Hale said. I needed to know how much you'd uncovered, how much you'd shared, and more importantly, I needed to know if Klein had actually turned on me, or if this was all part of her game. Klein's head snapped up. I didn't turn on you. Didn't you? Hale tilted his head. You brought Cross into the operation. You gave her access to files. You let her get close enough to extract data from my office. That doesn't sound like loyalty. I was trying to control the damage. She was already investigating Silverpoint. I couldn't stop her, so I redirected her. And look where that got us. Hale gestured around the warehouse. Your entire task force is compromised. The files are in federal hands, and I'm about to disappear to a country that doesn't have extradition treaties. You won't make it, Maya said. Hale smiled. I already have. My plane leaves in 2 hours. By the time your bodies are found, I'll be halfway across the Atlantic. They'll find you. They'll try. But I've been planning this exit for years. New identity, new accounts, new life. He checked his watch. And in about 10 minutes, this building and everyone in it will be nothing but rubble and ash. Trent returned from the back, gave Hale a thumbs up. All set, Trent said. Timer's running. Hale nodded. Good. Let's move out. The men started heading toward the exits, weapons still trained on Maya and Klein. Wait, Klein said. You said you'd let me go. That was the deal. Hale paused, looked back at her. I said a lot of things, Rachel. You should know by now not to believe them. Victor, please. You were useful, but you're also a liability, and I don't keep liabilities. He turned to Trent. Make sure they can't get out. Trent pulled out a second set of zip ties and secured Klein's ankles together, then did the same to Maya. They were both on their knees now, hands and feet bound, unable to move more than a few inches. Hale walked to the exit, then stopped one more time. For what it's worth, he said, looking at Maya, you were good. Better than most. If you'd taken my offer, we could have done great things together. Go to hell, Maya said. Hale smiled. See you there. He left. The door clanged shut. The warehouse fell silent except for the faint ticking of the timer somewhere in the darkness. Maya counted to 30. Then she spoke. How long do we have? Klein's voice was hoarse. He said 10 minutes, probably less. Can you move? Not much. Klein tested the zip ties. They didn't budge. You? Same. Maya looked around. The warehouse was empty except for a few rusted oil drums and some scattered debris. Nothing sharp enough to cut through plastic restraints. There has to be something, Klein said. There isn't. That's the point. Maya closed her eyes, forced herself to think. She'd been in worse situations, trapped behind enemy lines, pinned down under fire. But she'd always had a way out. This time, she didn't. I'm sorry, Klein said quietly. Maya opened her eyes. For what? Getting me killed or killing those medics? Both. Klein's voice cracked. I didn't mean for any of this to happen. I just wanted enough money to retire, to get out of this life. You picked a hell of a way to do it. I know. Klein looked at her. If we get out of this, we're not getting out of this. If we do, Klein pressed, I'll turn myself in. I'll testify against Hale. I'll take whatever punishment they give me. That's supposed to make me feel better? No, but it's all I've got. Maya didn't respond. She was staring at the ceiling, at the exposed beams and ventilation ducts. And then she saw it. A thin wire running along one of the beams. Fire suppression system. Old. Probably not functional, but maybe. Klein, you still have your phone? Klein shifted. Front pocket, but it's locked. What's the code? 4739. Maya twisted, trying to reach Klein's pocket with her bound hands. It took 3 tries, but she managed to pull the phone free. What are you doing? Klein asked. Buying us time. Maya unlocked the phone, opened the camera, and used the flash to locate the nearest sprinkler head. 20 feet away. Too far. But the phone itself. She opened the settings, turned the flashlight to maximum brightness, and angled it toward the sprinkler. Nothing happened. She kept the light steady, waiting, praying the old sensors were sensitive enough. 30 seconds. A minute. Then the sprinkler head clicked. Water erupted from the ceiling, drenching the entire warehouse floor, and somewhere in the back, a fire alarm started shrieking. Maya grinned. That'll bring someone. Or it'll set off the bomb early, Klein said. Can't win if we don't play. The water kept pouring. Within 2 minutes, the floor was slick and pooling. Within 3, the sound of sirens cut through the night air outside. Fire trucks. Police. Emergency response. Hale's men would scatter. They wouldn't risk being seen. The explosion would have to wait. Or so Maya hoped. She twisted her wrists against the zip ties, using the water as lubricant. Plastic dug into her skin, drew blood, but she kept pulling. One hand slipped free. She immediately went to work on her ankles, then moved to Klein. Can you walk? Maya asked. Klein tried to stand, stumbled. Maya caught her. Lean on me, Maya said. They moved toward the side exit, slow and awkward. The sirens were louder now. Voices shouted outside. Flashlights swept through the broken windows. Maya kicked the door open and they stumbled out into the night. 3 fire trucks, 2 police cars, firefighters already moving toward the building. One of them saw Maya and Klein and ran over. Are you two okay? What happened? Bomb, Maya gasped. Inside. Back corner. You need to evacuate now. The firefighter's eyes went wide. He turned and shouted into his radio. Within seconds, the entire response team was pulling back, establishing a perimeter. A bomb squad van screamed into the lot 5 minutes later. Maya and Klein were moved to an ambulance. A paramedic checked them over. Cuts, bruises, dehydration, but nothing critical. A police officer approached. Can you tell me what happened? Maya opened her mouth, but before she could answer, 4 black SUVs pulled into the lot. Doors opened, federal agents poured out, and at the front was a woman Maya had never seen before. 50s, steel gray hair, the kind of presence that made everyone shut up and listen. The woman walked straight to Maya, flashed a badge. Assistant Director Carolyn Grant, FBI. Your Captain Lena Cross? Maya nodded. Come with me. It wasn't a request. They took her to a mobile command center parked 2 blocks away. Inside, monitors displayed feeds from the warehouse, the perimeter, and what looked like satellite imagery. Grant sat across from her, arms folded. Start talking, Grant said. Maya told her everything. Silverpoint, Nexus, Hale, Briggs, Klein, the files, the shipment at Fort Bragg, the warehouse trap. Grant listened without interrupting. When Maya finished, Grant leaned back and exhaled. Briggs is in custody, Grant said. We picked him up 3 hours ago. Maya blinked. You knew? We've been investigating Klein for 6 weeks. Briggs fell into our net when we traced her communications. Grant pulled up a file on one of the monitors. We knew she was dirty. We didn't know how deep it went until you pulled those files from Hale's office. So you've been watching me. We've been watching everyone. Grant's expression was hard. You did good work, Captain, but you also went rogue. That complicates things. Complicates how? Legally, half of what you did can't be used in court. Breaking into Hale's office, extracting data without a warrant, operating outside your chain of command. Grant tapped the screen. A defense attorney would have a field day. So what are you saying? I'm saying we need to be smart about how we proceed. Hale's network is bigger than we thought. 17 active assets, dozens of compromised installations. If we move too fast, they'll scatter. If we move too slow, they'll destroy evidence. What about Hale? We've got people at the airport. If he tries to leave, we'll grab him. He's not going to the airport. He's too smart for that. Grant raised an eyebrow. Then where? Maya thought back to the files, Hale's properties, his accounts, his patterns. And then it clicked. He's got a boat, Maya said, registered out of Annapolis. That's how he's leaving. Grant turned to one of the techs. Pull up maritime records. Find every vessel registered to Victor Hale or his shell companies. The tech's fingers flew across the keyboard. Got 3. 2 sailboats and a yacht. The yacht's called Meridian, 52 feet. Docked at... Chesapeake Marina, Maya finished. That's where he is. Grant grabbed a radio. All units, redirect to Chesapeake Marina. Suspect is Victor Hale. Considered armed and dangerous. Rules of engagement. Contain and capture. She looked at Maya. You're coming with us. I'm not officially part of this. You are now. The marina was 15 minutes away. They arrived with a full tactical team, FBI, Coast Guard, and 2 helicopters circling overhead. The Meridian was still at the dock. Lights on, engine running. Grant ordered the team to surround the boat, then turned to Maya. Stay behind the line. If shooting starts, you're not armed and you're not authorized to engage. Understood. But Maya had no intention of staying behind. The agents moved in, weapons raised, shouting for Hale to exit the boat and surrender. No response. They boarded, swept the deck, checked the cabin. Empty. He's not here, one of the agents called out. Maya swore under her breath. He knew we'd find the boat. It's a decoy. Grant's jaw tightened. Then where is he? Maya thought fast. Hale had planned this for years. Multiple exits, multiple contingencies. And then she remembered something from the files. A property Hale owned in rural Pennsylvania. An old farmhouse. Off the grid. No neighbors. Perfect for lying low. I know where he is, Maya said. Eat. The farmhouse was 2 hours north. They made it in 90 minutes, sirens screaming the entire way. The property was isolated. A long gravel driveway, trees on all sides, a single light visible in the main house. Grant ordered the team to approach on foot. Silent, coordinated. Maya moved with them, staying low, weapon, borrowed from one of the agents, held ready. They reached the house, stacked at the door. Grant gave the signal. They breached. Inside, the house was dark, except for a single lamp in the living room. Victor Hale sat in an armchair, hands folded, looking like he'd been expecting them. Took you long enough, he said. Agents swarmed him, weapons trained. But Hale didn't move. Victor Hale, Grant said, stepping forward. You're under arrest for espionage, racketeering, murder, and conspiracy to commit acts of terrorism. Hale smiled. You forgot tax evasion. Hands behind your head. Now. Hale stood slowly, raised his hands, and let them cuff him. This won't stick, he said calmly. I've got lawyers, resources, friends in places you can't touch. Maybe, Grant said, but you'll die in prison waiting for them to save you. Hale's smile faded. They led him outside into a waiting SUV. Maya watched as the door closed, as the vehicle pulled away, lights flashing. It was over, or so she thought. 3 days later, Maya sat in a conference room at FBI headquarters, surrounded by lawyers, investigators, and a military tribunal panel. They went through everything again. Every operation, every decision, every rule she'd bent or broken. By the end, her career was in pieces. Captain Cross, the lead investigator said, you conducted unauthorized operations, violated chain of command, and compromised active investigations. However, your actions also led to the dismantling of a significant criminal network and the arrest of multiple high-value targets. Maya waited. Given the circumstances, we're recommending a formal reprimand and a 6-month suspension from active duty. After that, you'll be reassigned. Reassigned to what? That's still being determined. Maya nodded. It could have been worse. Dishonorable discharge, court-martial, prison. But it still felt like losing. She left the building and walked out into the cold afternoon air. Klein was waiting near the steps. She looked smaller now, defeated. They offering you a deal? Maya asked. 20 years, reduced to 12 if I cooperate fully. Klein's voice was flat. I'm taking it. Good. Klein looked at her. I really am sorry. I know. Does that change anything? No? Klein nodded. Didn't think so. She turned and walked away, flanked by 2 federal marshals. Maya watched her go, then pulled out her phone. One new message from an unknown number. She opened it. No words, just a photo. Victor Hale, in a courtroom, handcuffed, flanked by guards. And behind him, barely visible in the gallery, a man Maya didn't recognize. But his face was familiar. She'd seen it in the files. One of Hale's assets, still active, still free, and now he knew exactly who Maya was. The message updated. One new line of text appeared. This isn't over. Maya stared at the message for exactly 5 seconds. Then she forwarded it to Assistant Director Grant, pocketed the phone, and walked to her car. She didn't look over her shoulder, didn't check for tails. If they wanted her to know they were watching, they'd already made their point. The question was, what were they waiting for? She drove back to the safe house, the new one, assigned after the warehouse, and found Daniel sitting on the front steps. "You look worse than yesterday," he said. "Thanks. Got the news about your suspension. That's rough." Maya unlocked the door. Could have been worse. Could have been better. Daniel followed her inside. "You eat today?" "No." "Thought so." He pulled a paper bag from his jacket. "Sandwiches. Sit." They ate in silence for a while. Maya hadn't realized how hungry she was until the first bite. She finished the sandwich in under 2 minutes. Daniel watched her, then slid his own across the table. "Take it. I already ate." "You sure?" "Yeah." He leaned back. "So what now?" "What do you mean?" "You're suspended. Klein's going to prison. Hale's in custody. The network's blown apart. What are you going to do for the next 6 months? Maya pulled out her phone, showed him the message. Daniel read it, his expression darkening. "Who sent this?" "Someone who wants me to know they're still out there." "You tell Grant?" "Just did." "And?" "She'll investigate. Run the photo through facial recognition. Track down whoever's left in Hale's network." Maya set the phone down. "But it'll take time, and whoever sent that message knows it." "So they're coming after you?" "Maybe, or they're just trying to scare me." Daniel gave her a look. "Is it working?" Maya didn't answer. He sighed. "You need to disappear for a while. Let this cool down." "I've been disappearing my whole life. I'm tired of it." "Then what's the play?" Maya looked at the message again. The man in the photo. She'd seen his file in Hale's records. Mid-40s. Former Special Forces. Codename Garrison. Real name unknown. Specialty? Cleanup. If Hale had sent a cleanup crew before his arrest, they'd still be operational. And if they were operational, they had orders. Finish what Hale started. "I'm going to find him," Maya said. "Find who?" "The man in the photo." Daniel shook his head. "You're suspended. You don't have access to resources, intel, or backup. How are you going to find someone who doesn't want to be found?" "The same way I found Hale." Maya stood. "By making myself bait." Daniel set his coffee down. "That's insane." "It's effective. It's suicide." "Only if I do it alone." Maya pulled out her laptop, opened the files she'd copied from Hale's servers. "I've got names, locations, financial trails, everything Hale kept off the official record." "And you think Grant's going to let you run an unsanctioned op?" "I'm not asking for permission." Daniel stood, walked to the window, and stared out. "You remember what Dad used to say? About picking fights? Pick the ones you can win, and walk away from the ones you can't." Daniel turned back. "This is one you can't win. Not like this." "I'm not walking away." "Then I'm coming with you." Maya looked at him. "Danny, don't." He held up a hand. "You're my sister. You think I'm going to let you do this alone? It's not your fight." "The hell it isn't. Those medics in Yemen, one of them served with me in Afghanistan. So yeah, it's my fight too." Maya closed the laptop. "This could get you killed." "Wouldn't be the first time someone tried." Daniel grabbed his jacket. "So what's the plan?" The next morning, Maya walked into a coffee shop in downtown DC and sat by the window. She ordered an espresso, opened her laptop, and logged into a secure forum she'd used for intelligence trading back when she'd been active. She posted a single message. "Victor Hale's network is finished. Anyone still operating under his orders is wasting their time. Turn yourselves in before it's too late." Then she waited. The response came 30 minutes later. A private message from an anonymous account. Bold words from someone with a target on her back. Maya typed back, "If you're going to kill me, stop talking and do it." Another pause. Then, "Meridian Diner. Noon. Come alone." Maya checked her watch. 2 hours. She finished her coffee, closed the laptop, and left. Daniel was waiting in a car 2 blocks away. She climbed into the passenger seat. "They bit," Maya said. "Where?" "Meridian Diner, noon." Daniel started the engine. "I'll set up across the street. Overwatch." He said, "Come alone." "And you believed him?" Maya didn't answer. They drove in silence. Daniel parked 3 blocks from the diner, pulled a duffel bag from the trunk, and checked his rifle. "You sure about this?" he asked. "No, but I'm doing it anyway." Daniel looked at her. "If things go sideways, I'm pulling you out. I don't care what you say." "Deal." Maya walked the rest of the way to the diner alone. She arrived early, scoped the exits, and took a booth in the back with a clear view of the entrance. She ordered coffee and waited. At noon exactly, a man walked in. Mid-40s, lean, hard eyes. He scanned the room, spotted her, and walked over. "Captain Cross," he said. "Garrison." He sat across from her, didn't order anything. "You're either brave or stupid." "I've been called both." "Hale had a lot of respect for you. Said you were the only one who got close." "Not close enough. He's in custody." "For now." Garrison leaned back. "But you know how this works. Men like Hale don't stay locked up. They've got lawyers, connections, money. He's not getting out." "You sure about that?" Maya met his eyes. "What do you want?" "I want to know why you're still alive." Garrison tilted his head. Hale gave the order. "You should be dead. But here you are, walking around like nothing happened. Maybe your crew's not as good as you think. Or maybe someone's protecting you." "Who?" Garrison smiled faintly. "That's what I'm trying to figure out." A waitress approached. Garrison waved her off without looking. "Here's the deal," he said. "Hale's operation is over. I know that. Most of the assets know that. But there's a handful who don't want to accept it. They think if they clean up the loose ends, starting with you, they can rebuild. Let them try. They will. And you'll lose." Garrison leaned forward. "You're good, Cross. But you're one person. They're organized, funded, and they've got nothing to lose. Then why are you here? To warn me? To offer you a deal?" Maya's jaw tightened. "I'm not interested." "Hear me out." Garrison pulled a folded piece of paper from his jacket and slid it across the table. "That's a list. 12 names. The ones still active. The ones planning to come after you." Maya didn't touch it. "Why would you give me this?" "Because Hale's network is dead, and I'm not interested in dying with it. I've got enough money to disappear, but I can't do that if the FBI is breathing down my neck." He tapped the paper. "You take them down, and I walk away. Clean slate." "You want immunity." "I want to live, and so do you." Maya stared at him. Every instinct told her not to trust him, but the list was real. She could see names through the thin paper. Some she recognized from the files. "What's stopping me from arresting you right now?" she asked. "The fact that you need me more than I need you." Garrison stood. "You've got 48 hours. After that, they move on you. And you won't see them coming." He walked out. Maya waited 30 seconds, then picked up the paper and unfolded it. 12 names, 12 locations, 12 targets. She pulled out her phone and called Grant. Grant arrived 20 minutes later with 2 agents. Maya handed her the list. "Where did you get this?" Grant asked. "Garrison, Hale's cleanup specialist." Grant's eyes narrowed. "And you just let him walk?" "He gave me intel. That was the deal." "We don't make deals with terrorists." "He's not a terrorist. He's a mercenary. And if we move fast, we can roll up everyone on that list before they scatter." Grant studied the paper, then looked at Maya. "You know this could be a trap." "It could, but I don't think it is." "Why not?" "Because Garrison's smart. He knows the network's finished. He's cutting his losses." Grant folded the list and pulled out her phone. "I'll verify the intel. If it checks out, we move tonight. I'm coming with you. You're suspended. I'm the one they're targeting. Use me." Grant considered this, then nodded. "Fine. But you follow orders. No going rogue." "Understood." Grant made 3 calls. Within an hour, a coordinated operation was in motion. FBI field offices in 6 cities, a TF teams on standby, military police ready to assist. Maya sat in the back of Grant's SUV, watching the city pass by, and felt the weight of what was coming. This was it. The last push. Either they'd finish what she'd started at Silverpoint, or the people hunting her would finish her first. The raid started at midnight. FBI, ATF, and military police hit all 12 locations simultaneously. Coordinated, precise, overwhelming. Maya was embedded with the team targeting a warehouse in Baltimore, listed as the base of operations for 3 of Hale's remaining assets. They breached at 12:03 a.m. Inside, the warehouse was set up like a barracks, cots, weapons, tactical gear, and 3 men scrambling for guns. FBI, drop your weapons! 2 complied immediately. The third raised his rifle. The agents fired. He went down. Maya moved past the scene, clearing the back rooms. She found a laptop open on a makeshift desk. The screen showed a live feed, surveillance footage of her apartment, her brother's house, the FBI building. They'd been planning a simultaneous strike. She grabbed the laptop, disconnected it, and brought it to the team lead. They were going to hit multiple targets, Maya said. Tonight. The lead radioed Grant. We've got confirmation of an imminent attack. All teams secure your sites and prepare for hostile response. Across the city, the other teams reported similar findings. Weapons caches, surveillance equipment, attack plans. By 3 a.m., all 12 targets were in custody. No agents lost. 2 suspects dead. The rest facing life sentences. Grant called Maya at 4. It's over. Maya exhaled. You sure? As sure as we can be. We're still tracking financial trails, but the operational network is dismantled. Anyone left is either running or already gone. What about Garrison? No sign of him. Probably already out of the country. Maya sat on the hood of her car, watching the sunrise. So that's it. That's it. Grant paused. You did good work, Captain. The suspension stands, but I'm putting a commendation in your file. When you come back, there'll be a place for you. Where? Counterterrorism Task Force. Domestic operations. We need people like you. Maya didn't respond immediately. 6 months ago, she would have said yes without thinking. But now, I'll think about it, she said. Fair enough. Grant hung up. Maya sat there for a long time, watching the city wake up. Daniel walked over, 2 coffees in hand. He gave her one. You okay? He asked. Yeah. Liar. Maya smiled faintly. I'm alive. That's more than some people can say. True. Daniel sat beside her. So what now? Now I wait. Finish the suspension. Figure out what comes next. You going to take Grant's offer? I don't know. What's there to think about? You're good at this. Better than anyone I know. Maybe that's the problem. Maya sipped her coffee. I've spent the last 15 years hunting bad guys, and every time I take one down, 2 more show up. It never ends. So you're just going to quit? I didn't say that. Daniel looked at her. Then what are you saying? Maya stared at the horizon. I'm saying maybe it's time to do something different, something that actually fixes the problem instead of just putting Band-Aids on it. Like what? I don't know yet. They sat in silence for a while. Then Daniel stood. Whatever you decide, he said, I've got your back. I know. He walked to his car and drove away. Maya stayed on the hood, watching the sun climb higher, and thought about everything she'd lost, everything she'd gained, and for the first time in years, she felt something she hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. 2 weeks later, Victor Hale's trial began. Maya wasn't required to testify. Her role had been mostly off-book. But she attended the opening arguments. The courtroom was packed. Press, federal observers, victims' families. Hale sat at the defense table, flanked by 3 lawyers in expensive suits. He looked calm, almost bored. The prosecutor stood and laid out the case. 17 counts of espionage, 23 counts of racketeering, 8 counts of conspiracy to commit murder, financial crimes, weapons trafficking, treason. The evidence was overwhelming. Financial records, intercepted communications, testimony from Briggs and Klein, and the files Maya had extracted from his office. The defense tried to argue entrapment, coercion, lack of direct evidence. The jury didn't buy it. 3 weeks later, they returned a verdict. Guilty on all counts. Hale showed no reaction as the judge read the sentence. Life in prison without possibility of parole. Assets seized. All business holdings dissolved. As the marshals led him out, Hale's eyes found Maya in the gallery. He didn't smile, didn't sneer, just looked at her. And then he was gone. Maya stood and walked out into the hallway. Reporters swarmed, but she pushed past them without speaking. Outside, the air was cold and clean. She pulled out her phone and texted Daniel. "It's over." His reply came immediately. "Good. Drinks tonight?" "Yeah." She pocketed the phone and started walking. No destination, just moving. She passed a newsstand and saw the headline, "Hale Network Dismantled, Dozens Arrested." Below it, a smaller article. Captain Lena Cross, the invisible hero who brought down a criminal empire. Maya stopped, picked up the paper, read the first few lines. They'd gotten most of it right. The investigation, the raids, the trial. But they'd missed the most important part. She wasn't a hero. She was just someone who refused to stay quiet. Someone who saw injustice and decided to do something about it. Someone who'd been dismissed, underestimated, and ignored, and used that to her advantage. She set the paper down and kept walking. 3 months into her suspension, Maya received a visitor at the new apartment she'd rented under her real name. Assistant Director Grant stood at the door, holding a folder. "Got a minute?" Grant asked. Maya let her in. Grant sat at the kitchen table and opened the folder. "Your suspension's been reduced. Effective immediately, you're reinstated." Maya blinked. "Why?" "Because the Secretary of Defense reviewed your case personally. Turns out, the intel you provided didn't just take down Hale's network. It exposed corruption in 3 allied nations, shut down 4 illegal arms pipelines, and saved an estimated 200 lives. I was just doing my job. You went above and beyond your job. And people noticed." Grant slid a document across the table. "We're offering you a promotion, Major, assignment to a joint task force specializing in international counter-espionage." Maya looked at the document, the rank insignia, the authorization signature, everything she'd worked for. "What if I say no?" Maya asked. Grant raised an eyebrow. "You turning this down?" "I'm asking what happens if I do." "Then you stay a captain, you get reassigned to a desk job, and you spend the next 10 years filing reports." Grant leaned forward. "But I don't think that's what you want." Maya picked up the document and read it. The assignment was high level, real authority, real impact, but it was also dangerous. The kind of work that kept you moving, kept you looking over your shoulder. She thought about the last 6 months, the fear, the exhaustion, the isolation. And she thought about the people she'd saved, the network she'd dismantled, the justice she'd delivered. "Can I think about it?" Maya asked. Grant looked surprised. "You're actually considering saying no?" "I'm considering what I want the rest of my career to look like." Grant closed the folder. "Take the weekend, but I need an answer by Monday." She left. Maya sat at the table staring at the document and thought about everything that had led her here. The night spent mopping floors while people ignored her, the fear of being discovered, the weight of carrying secrets no one else could know, and the satisfaction of watching the people who'd dismissed her realize, too late, that she'd been 3 steps ahead the entire time. She pulled out her phone and called Daniel. "I need your advice," she said. "Shoot. Grant offered me a promotion, Major, task force assignment, international operations. That's huge, yeah. So what's the problem?" "I don't know if I want to keep doing this." Daniel was quiet for a moment. "What do you want to do?" "I want to make sure what happened to those medics never happens again. But I don't know if hunting bad guys one at a time is the answer." "Then what is?" Maya looked at the document again. "I think I need to build something. A training program. Something that teaches people how to spot corruption before it spreads. How to stay ahead of threats instead of always reacting to them." "You want to teach?" "I want to prevent." Daniel laughed. "That's the most you thing I've ever heard." "Is that a compliment?" "Yeah, it is." He paused. "So what are you going to tell Grant?" "I don't know yet. We'll figure it out. Because whatever you decide, you're going to be great at it." They hung up. Maya sat there for a long time thinking. Then she picked up a pen and started writing. Famasem. On Monday, Maya walked into Grant's office with a counteroffer. "I'll take the promotion," Maya said. But I want to run a new program. Grant leaned back. What kind of program? Counter-infiltration training for military and intelligence personnel. Teach them how to identify compromised assets, how to operate in hostile environments without burning their cover, how to think like the enemy. We already have programs like that. Not like this. Maya set a folder on Grant's desk. I've outlined a curriculum, real-world scenarios, hands-on exercises, the kind of training that prepares people for what actually happens in the field, not what looks good in a textbook. Grant opened the folder and read. Her expression shifted from skepticism to interest. This is ambitious, Grant said. It's necessary. You realize this means less field work, more time behind a desk. I'm fine with that. Grant set the folder down. Why? Because I'm tired of watching good people die because they weren't prepared. I can't save everyone, but I can train the people who will. Grant studied her, then nodded. Okay, I'll pitch it to the Joint Chiefs. If they approve, you've got 6 months to build the program and recruit your first class. Maya stood. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. This is going to be the hardest thing you've ever done. Maya smiled. Good. 6 months later, Major Lena Cross stood in front of 20 recruits at a secure training facility in Virginia. They were the best of the best, handpicked from military intelligence, FBI, CIA, and allied agencies, and they had no idea who she was. My name is Major Cross, she said. For the next 12 weeks, I'm going to teach you how to survive in environments where everyone wants you dead and no one knows you're there. She walked to the center of the room. Some of you are here because you think you're the best. You're wrong. The best are the ones who know they're not invincible. The ones who understand that overconfidence gets you killed. She pulled up a photo on the screen behind her. Victor Hale. This man ran a criminal network for 8 years. He compromised 17 military installations. He got dozens of people killed, and he did it because the people who were supposed to stop him weren't paying attention. She changed the slide. Now it showed a photo of a janitor's cart. I spent 11 days undercover as a hospital cleaner. No one looked at me. No one questioned me. I was invisible. She looked at the recruits, and that invisibility gave me access to everything. The room was silent. Your job, Maya continued, is to learn how to see the invisible, how to identify threats that don't look like threats, how to operate in hostile territory without being detected, and most importantly, how to survive when everything goes wrong. She paused. Because it will go wrong. And when it does, the only person who can save you is you. One of the recruits raised a hand. What if we fail? Then you learn from it. Failure isn't fatal. Quitting is. Maya spent the next 12 weeks pushing them harder than they'd ever been pushed. Infiltration exercises, interrogation resistance, cover identity maintenance, threat assessment under pressure. And at the end, every single one of them graduated. 2 years after Silverpoint, Maya stood on a stage at the Pentagon, receiving a commendation for her work developing the counter-infiltration program. The room was filled with generals, intelligence directors, and senior officials. She shook hands, accepted the medal, gave a brief speech about the importance of preparation and vigilance. And when it was over, she walked out into the parking lot and found Daniel waiting by her car. Big day, he said. Yeah, how do you feel? Maya thought about it. Proud, exhausted, relieved. That's a lot of feelings. It's been a lot of years. They stood there for a moment, watching the sun set over the city. You did it, Daniel said. You actually did it. Did what? Changed the system, made it better. Maya smiled. I just did what needed to be done. That's what makes you dangerous. She laughed. I'll take that as a compliment. They got in the car and drove away. 5 years after Silverpoint, Maya received a letter from Jennifer Walters, the mother of one of the medics killed in Yemen. It was short, simple. Dear Major Cross, I wanted you to know that my son's name is now on a memorial at Fort Bragg. They dedicated it last month. It honors the medics who were killed because of the intelligence leak. I stood there and cried. But they weren't tears of sadness. They were tears of relief. Because someone finally acknowledged what happened. Someone finally said their deaths mattered. That someone was you. Thank you for not letting them be forgotten. Jennifer Walters. Maya read the letter 3 times. Then she folded it carefully and placed it in a drawer with all the others she'd received over the years. Letters from families, from survivors, from people who'd been saved by the work she'd done. She didn't keep them out of pride. She kept them to remember why she'd started and why she couldn't stop. 10 years after Silverpoint, Major Lena Cross stood in front of a new class of recruits. Her program had expanded. 3 facilities now, over 500 graduates, and a measurable decrease in intelligence breaches across military installations worldwide. But the work was never done. "Before we begin," Maya said, "I want to tell you a story." The recruits leaned forward. 10 years ago, I walked into a hospital as a janitor. I spent 11 days being invisible, being dismissed, being treated like I didn't matter. She paused. And in those 11 days, I uncovered a network that had been operating for 8 years. I gathered evidence that led to the arrest of over 50 people. And I stopped an operation that would have killed hundreds more. She looked at each of them. "I'm not telling you this to brag. I'm telling you this because the most dangerous person in any room is the one no one's paying attention to. And if you're going to survive in this line of work, you need to understand that." She pulled up a photo on the screen. A crowded street. Dozens of people. "Find the threat," she said. The recruits studied the image. One of them pointed. "The man in the suit, he's watching someone." "Good. Who else?" Another recruit pointed. "The woman with the shopping bag. Her posture's wrong. She's tense." "Excellent. Anyone else?" Silence. Maya zoomed in on the bottom corner of the photo. A street cleaner, bent over a trash can. "This person," Maya said, "has been in the same position for 20 minutes. They're not cleaning. They're watching, listening, waiting." The recruit stared. "The most effective operatives," Maya said, "are the ones who know how to disappear. The ones who become part of the background. The ones you walk past without a second glance." She turned off the screen. "Your job is to become that person, and to recognize when someone else is doing the same thing." The training began. 15 years after Silverpoint, Maya stood at a podium in front of 300 people at a national security conference. The topic: the evolution of modern espionage. She spoke for 45 minutes, about tactics, about technology, about the importance of human intelligence in an increasingly digital world. And at the end, someone asked a question. "Major Cross, what's the most important lesson you've learned in your career?" Maya thought about it. "Never underestimate anyone," she said. "The person you dismiss today could be the one who outsmarts you tomorrow." The crowd applauded. After the speech, people lined up to talk to her, to ask questions, to thank her for her service. And among them was a young woman, mid-20s, nervous. "Major Cross," she said, "I just wanted to say thank you. I read about what you did at Silverpoint. It inspired me to join the Army. I'm in intelligence now." Maya smiled. "What's your name?" "Lieutenant Sarah Kane." "Good to meet you, Sarah. You doing okay?" "Yeah, it's hard, but I love it." "That's good. Hold on to that." Sarah hesitated. "Can I ask you something?" "Sure." "How did you keep going when everything felt impossible?" Maya looked at her, saw herself 10 years ago, young, determined, terrified. "I remembered why I started," Maya said, "and I refused to let the people I lost die for nothing." Sarah nodded. "Thank you." She walked away. Maya watched her go and felt something settle in her chest. This was why she'd done it, not for medals, not for recognition, but to make sure the next generation had a better chance than she did. 20 years after Silverpoint, Maya retired from active duty. She'd spent 2 decades building programs, training agents, and dismantling networks. She'd saved lives, changed systems, made the world measurably safer. And now it was time to rest. On her last day, she walked through the halls of the Pentagon one final time. People stopped to shake her hand, to thank her, to tell her she'd made a difference. She smiled, accepted their words, and meant it when she said, "It was an honor." Outside, Daniel was waiting. "How does it feel?" he asked. "Strange. Good. Scary. All normal." They walked to the car. "So what now?" Daniel asked. "Now I figure out what the rest of my life looks like." "Any ideas?" Maya thought about it. Maybe I'll write a book about everything that happened, the things people don't know. You think anyone would read it? I think the people who need to will. They drove in silence for a while. Then Daniel spoke. I'm proud of you, he said. You know that, right? Maya looked at him. Yeah, I know. Good, he smiled. Because you're a pain in the ass, but you're my pain in the ass. She laughed. Love you too, Danny. Maya stood in front of a mirror, adjusting her jacket. She was about to give the keynote speech at a veterans conference. The topic? Resilience. She thought about the last 20 years, everything she'd survived, everything she'd overcome, the people who'd dismissed her, the ones who'd betrayed her, the ones who'd tried to kill her, and she thought about the people who'd believed in her. Her brother, Grant, the recruit she'd trained, the families she'd helped. She straightened, took a breath, and walked onto the stage. The applause was deafening. She stepped up to the podium, looked out at the crowd, and began. I started my career as someone no one noticed. I cleaned floors. I emptied trash. I was invisible. She paused. But I was never powerless. The crowd leaned forward. Because being underestimated is the greatest advantage you can have. When people don't see you, they let their guard down. They get sloppy. They make mistakes. She smiled. And that's when you strike. The crowd erupted. Maya continued. I'm not special. I'm not a hero. I'm just someone who refused to stay quiet when I saw injustice, who refused to accept that the system couldn't change, who refused to believe that one person couldn't make a difference. She looked at the faces in front of her. And I'm here to tell you, you can make a difference, every single one of you, whether you're in uniform or out, whether you're working in intelligence or teaching in a classroom, whether you're leading a team or working alone. She paused. The world needs people who refuse to stay silent, who refuse to give up, who refuse to let injustice win. She leaned forward. So don't wait for someone else to fix the problem. Be the person who does it. Be the person who sees what others miss. Be the person who refuses to stay invisible. The applause shook the room. Maya finished her speech and stepped off the stage. People crowded around her, shaking her hand, thanking her, asking questions. She answered every one. Because that was who she was. Not the girl who disappeared, not the janitor no one saw, but the woman who'd proven that the quietest person in the room could change everything. She walked out into the evening air, the city lights stretching before her, and smiled. The girl they'd dismissed had become the woman they couldn't ignore, and she was proof that sometimes the most dangerous person you'll ever meet is the one you never saw coming.